Falling into a star would be an incredible experience that not only defies the laws of physics, but would also lead to certain death. But what if somehow you survived falling into a star? What would happen next? How could you get out? And what would you see along the way? First of all, it's important to understand that stars are not solid objects. They're giant balls of plasma held together by their own gravity. So as you fell towards a star, you wouldn't actually be falling through anything. It would feel like you were falling through empty space. The only thing is that the closer you got to the star, the more intense the gravitational pull would become. Eventually, the gravity would be thousands, even millions times greater than the Earth's gravity. This means that if you were still alive at this point, you would be utterly crushed into a pancake. But let's just assume for a moment that you could survive this insane gravitational force. Stars are incredibly hot, ranging from around 10,000 degrees Fahrenheit to 40,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's about 5,500 degrees Celsius to 22,000 degrees Celsius. As you fell deeper into the star, you would be met with these high temperatures. At this point, you would be met with temperatures so high that you would be vaporized into a gas. Your body would be completely broken down into its most basic elements. Nothing could survive in such high temperatures. So at this point, you would definitely be dead. However, let us pretend that you re some kind of cyborg with a super advanced spacesuit that can withstand extreme temperatures and pressures. Even if you could survive being crushed and vaporized, there's still another major problem. Stars are mostly hydrogen and helium with traces of heavier elements. As you fell into the star, you would be surrounded by these gases. These gases would exert an incredible amount of pressure on your body, thousands, even millions times greater than the Earth's atmosphere. The air itself would become a solid, a super dense, extremely hot solid that would crush you to death. There's also another major problem. Stars are constantly undergoing nuclear fusion in their cores where hydrogen atoms are converted into helium, releasing tremendous amounts of energy in the process. This means that you would also be subjected to high-energy radiation as you fell into the star. Gamma rays and X-rays would be all around you, killing any living thing instantly. So even if you were able to survive the incredible heat and pressure, you would not survive long enough to see the beautiful view that we'll talk about later. You would be bombarded with deadly radiation, and then your body would start to break down at the atomic level. Another interesting phenomenon you might witness during your descent into a star is something called stellar flares. Stars can have intense bursts of energy called solar flares that can reach millions of miles per hour. You might be able to see these massive eruptions of plasma as you fall into the star, which would make for an incredible view. However, it wouldn't last long as the intense radiation and heat would quickly end your life. All these factors combined make it absolutely clear that falling into a star would be impossible to survive. But for fun, let's just imagine you're some kind of superhero with the ability to withstand extreme heat, pressure, and radiation. What would you see if you survived falling into a star? For starters, the sky would look like nothing you've ever seen before. Instead of a blue sky, you would be surrounded by a giant ball of fire. The sun would look like a small star in the middle of a huge, bright disk. The light show would be unlike anything on Earth. The colors would be bright and vivid, and you would see all the different layers of the star. The sun has many layers, including the core, the radiative zone, the convective zone, the photospheric layer, the chromospheric layer, and the corona. Each layer has a unique appearance, and you would see them all as you fell into the star. As you descended further into the star, the colors would change from yellows and oranges to reds, and then to blues and purples. The light would be so bright that you would be blinded. But if you could see, you would see the most beautiful view imaginable. You would see the star's core, where hydrogen turns into helium and releases tremendous amounts of energy. You would see the plasma swirling around you in all directions. You would hear the sound of nuclear fusion as the star's core creates new elements. It would be an incredible experience that no human could survive. But if you could, It would be the most amazing thing you would ever see. Now let us talk about how you would escape from a star if you were somehow still alive after falling into it. It would be nearly impossible to escape. The gravity would be thousands, even millions times greater than Earth's gravity. You would be stuck deep inside the star. The only way to escape would be to go straight up through the star. You would need a rocket ship powerful enough to blast you out of the star and into space. Unfortunately, such a rocket ship doesn't exist and probably never will. The power required to blast you out of a star would be enormous. It would require a gigantic explosion that would probably destroy the star itself. So escaping from a star would be nearly impossible, even if you were somehow still alive after falling into it. It's important to note that stars are not just giant balls of burning gas. They're incredibly complex objects with powerful forces that can destroy anything that gets too close. While falling into a star would be an incredible sight to see, it would definitely lead to your demise. You would be crushed, vaporized, and bombarded with radiation. You would be met with temperatures and pressures that could not be survived. In short, you would be utterly destroyed. If you found yourself falling towards a star, there would be no hope of survival. But for fun, we imagined what you would see and the challenges you would face if you could somehow survive falling into a star. We hope you enjoyed this thought experiment. Please leave a comment below and let us know what you think. Do you think it would be possible to survive falling into a star? What do you think you would see? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Now, what would happen if you fell into a black hole? Some people believe that if you fell into a black hole, you would be completely ripped apart due to the intense gravitational forces. Others believe that you would be completely frozen and time would stop. So, which one is correct? Falling into a black hole is definitely not something anyone should try. There's really no way to know exactly what would happen because nothing can escape a black hole. So any attempts to study the phenomenon would be impossible. However, we do know that the gravity near a black hole is incredibly strong. It's much stronger than the Earth's gravity. So you would definitely be pulled towards the black hole. Also, the closer you get to a black hole, the faster time passes. So, if you fell into a black hole, time would pass very fast for you compared to someone who didn't fall in. Also, the temperature near a black hole is extremely high. So, if you fell into a black hole, you would be met with temperatures that could easily kill you. Black holes are also incredibly dense. So, when you fell into one, you would be met with matter that is extremely compressed. You would be crushed to death by the sheer density of the black hole. So, what would happen if you fell into a black hole? Well, no one really knows because nothing can escape a black hole to tell us what happens. However, we do know that you would be pulled towards the center of the black hole at the speed of light. You would be stretched and torn apart by the intense gravitational forces. You would be met with temperatures and pressures that could easily kill you. And you would be crushed to death by the sheer density of the black hole. Now, watch. Would you survive being ripped apart by a black hole? Or check out this video instead.